And so I was feeling really the sixth or seventh day. I was in meditation, and in meditation we do a thing called Shatipad. And the Shatipad is where it's really a touch of grace, where Dr. Cousins was giving everybody the Shatipad. And I guess in the whole process of it, I was concentrating on, you know, how much time he was spending with each person instead of just allowing the energy to come through me. And I just felt like, well, damn, I'm getting shortchanged here. And in that moment, I felt the pain shooting in my heart. From that negative thought, I felt the pain shooting in my heart. And for the next 2 weeks, I went in a healing crisis where I started releasing the most hideous and vile toxins that had built up over the last, 50 years. So it was just very interesting that in that moment, you know your thoughts. You know what your thoughts are, if they are of love or if they have non-love. And sometimes you get the blessing of that non-love thought that pains you, that is a point in your life where you can make a choice to get clear or continue holding on to your prejudice and holding on to your fear and holding on to all those limitations and all those limited dimensions of you. So in that choice, I fortunately made the choice to let that stuff go and let that prejudice go, because it was only limiting me and only, against who I really truly am. So needless to say, the next 2 weeks I spent a lot of time in bed. People would come, bring me my supplements, pick me up in the morning, take me to class, prop me up in classes because I could only be there and listen. I was that weak. I mean, one day I went for a colonic, which is usually an hour process. This colonic took 5 hours to get me there, to get me on the table, to get me off the table. That's how bad of a shape I was and how much I was releasing. But I got through it. But I received so much love. And I mean receiving that love, and I mean I received it from all people. From all people. And it was just a great healing experience, and where I just needed relief. I just needed relief. And when I need relief, I just needed that point where I just came back to feeling peace. I didn't even want to say it's a healing anymore. We just need relief. We need relief from the stresses. We need relief from ourselves. We need relief from our minds going a mile a minute. Because once we get relief from that going a mile a minute, then we are at that peace. We're at that point where we and the Creator are one.
How long did you stay at the Tree of Life? How long?
3 weeks.
3 weeks. And so, from the journey there to the journey in, what were your levels when you walked out of there?
Okay, my A1C, if you're talking about,
Yes.
my A1C was 12.7. When I came back and had a blood test done in April, which was a 3-month period, my A1C was down to 5.6.
Wow.
So I went from double the speed limit to below the norm. My kidney score, which was 29, the Bun score, which measures your kidney function, my score was 29. When I came back, it was down to 10.
Ooh.
So, and my cholesterol, which was 208, was down to, I believe, 154. So, and being raw and just being raw for 3 months,
Wow.
The change was dramatic. And as Dr. Cousins says, I love it when he says on the show The Incurables and on the DVD, on the YouTube, that you have a new status. You are no more diabetic.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
And so, I say that to say that you can change any situation if you take your powers. I mean, the other parts of the story, the first part of the eye doctor who I went to, I had one eye lasered and one eye not lasered. Um, the eye I had lasered, if I had to do it again, I have to say this, I would never do it again.
Wow.
Because I was told I had advanced retinopathy. When I came back from the raw foods, my blood vessels were starting to heal within the eye. So when I went down to the Tree of Life and I told the doctor tried to discourage me. He wrote me this letter that telling me basically that I could die.
Wow.
And so it was like trying to put all this fear in me and really wanted me to take my power and just go back and just have my eyes lasered and just go with the standard. The funny thing is, I went to Arizona to the Tree of Life for 3 weeks. When I came back, I had lost approximately 50 pounds. I was about 215. I was down to about 170, 175. And so you could look at me and see that there was dramatic change.
Sure.
And yet the doctor just wanted to laser my other eye, didn't want to do any more testing. And you say to yourself, you go and you do all this work, and yet they're like on automatic pilot. If somebody does all this work, you'd want to see how their scores have changed, how the interior of the eye had changed.
Sure.
But just to be on automatic pilot and to be told that you cannot improve from this is crazy. And so when I say giving away your power and giving all your power over to the medications, because the medications eventually are going to break down your liver and your kidneys, which are your organs of elimination, and it's going to be very stressful on you. Whereas if you find the joy and find who you really are and really start loving yourself again, because when we look at the metaphysical definition, and I'm going to use the word diabetes right here for a second, of that imbalance, it's basically looking for sweetness outside of yourself, wanting to control the situation. And by control the situation, I mean wanting to make nice in every situation so that you're not in these stressful situations where you're really having to go against your love nature. Because that's what it really is. So it's really looking to find that higher power of love within yourself. And I will speak on the fact that sugar imbalances are now at a pandemic proportion throughout the world.
Right.
Basically, every 1 or 2 people out of 2 people now are being diagnosed with sugar imbalances, which the doctors in the medical establishment call diabetes for that imbalance.
Right.
And when we look at the amount of processed food, the amount of stress, and the amount of people not realizing that they have power to change and to have a say in what's going on in their life, then this is what happens. And so until people decide to take 100% responsibility, we're seeing that what this whole thing is doing, and it's now at pandemic proportions.
Well, let's talk a little bit about health journey here. Lillian and Brother Eddie, and so what do you think about the Raw Soul Restaurant and the raw food diet and the different experiences that you're encountering with them right now?
Well, number one, I just got to say, I love Lillian and Eddie. I find them to be both very generous, both very giving, and both very conscious in all they do. And they bring that consciousness to the food. The word is vibration. Because when we talk about food, and we're talking about the livingness of food, and we're talking about raw food, we're talking about really preparing your body to vibrate at a higher level. And when we can receive that higher level of vibration and also at the same time give out that higher level of vibration, it really brings you in harmony with your true nature. And don't take my word for what your true nature is. Check it and get silent and see if your true nature is a love nature. Because I would bet you dollars to donuts, raw donuts, that you would find that you have a great love nature within you, that you have a great bhakti, a great devotion to love within you. And so, get back to your question, Eddie and Lillian, as I said, I find to be great resources in the community because what they've done in bringing the consciousness to the food and giving classes, educating the community, they've set up a template for anybody who wants to get well, for anybody who wants to come in and empower themselves and eat healthy, wholesome, raw food. You know, this is going to help in bringing relief to your body, relieving the non-love feelings, especially the great non-love feeling that we know as of stress. So it's a very important service what they are bringing to the community.
Beautiful. How long have you known them?
For 2 years. In fact, when I was at the Tree of Life, somebody gave me a listing of all the raw food restaurants, or most of the raw food restaurants in New York City, and this person said they had lived, I think, on 117th Street, and they loved the fact that Raw Soul delivered, and Raw Soul, kept them in the raw, basically. So when I came back, one of the first places that I went was Raw Soul. So I went up there probably in about February or March of 2008, and I've been eating their food since.
How's the food?
I love it.
I love it too. It's the best raw soul that I've seen in a long time, and I've been into the raw 13 years.
I love their food. I love a lot of raw food, but Eddie and Lillian make excellent food, and again, there is such a high vibration of love in their food, and such a high consciousness of love in their food, and that to me is the most important thing. Because when you put that vibration into you, that's really energizing you with that. And really, that energy really becomes your inspiration as you go through your journey every day, every moment, every second in life.
What do you think about their prep classes? I know you've attended a few.
Their prep classes are excellent because, number one, you get hands-on on how to prepare the food. You get an education in why to do certain things. Just a simple thing like soaking your nuts, releasing the enzyme inhibitors within the nuts. Just a simple thing like that. So to soak and dehydrate your nuts all the time. In this way, and just keep them in the refrigerator. This way, you're getting the most out of everything. So in their prep classes, they show you how to prep the raw dishes, and then you can go home and take that and get creative and take them, to many different levels and many different directions. So it's great.